He didn't wake up in panic. That would have been easier to explain. Instead, he woke up with a familiar tightness in his chest, as if his body had already decided the day would be heavy. Nothing bad had happened. There was no emergency, no message waiting on his phone, no clear reason for the tension. And yet, before his feet touched the floor, his mind was already scanning the future for threats. Somewhere deep inside, a quiet thought surfaced. Maybe what he was feeling wasn't random, but something his mind had learned to do over time. He didn't understand it yet, only that the feeling never fully left. Anxiety had become part of his background noise. Not loud enough for others to notice, but constant enough that he never felt truly calm. It followed him into the shower, stayed with him as he made coffee, and sat beside him while he scrolled through his phone, hoping distraction would bring relief. His body felt permanently alert, as if relaxing meant letting his guard down. Without realizing it, he had started to believe that calm was dangerous. He functioned. That was the word people would use. He went to work, answered messages, kept conversations light. On the outside, everything seemed stable. On the inside, his thoughts never slowed. Every decision carried weight. A delayed response from someone he cared about became proof of rejection. A minor sensation in his body triggered fear of illness. Silence made his chest tighten, because silence meant his thoughts would have space to grow louder. At night, anxiety took on a different form. The world became quiet, but his mind became relentless. Lying in the dark, he replayed conversations from years ago, dissecting words that no longer mattered. He imagined futures where everything fell apart. Responsibilities lined up in his head like accusations, things he hadn't done yet, things he might fail at, things he could lose. He promised himself that tomorrow he would feel better. Tomorrow always arrived with the same tension waiting for him. But what happened next would quietly change how he understood his anxiety. One evening, after a day of feeling uneasy for no clear reason, he noticed something unsettling. His heart was racing, his muscles were tight, his thoughts were urgent, yet nothing was actually happening, no danger, no threat, just his own mind. For the first time, he realized that anxiety wasn't responding to reality, it was reacting to imagined futures. That realization frightened him, but it also planted a seed of awareness. He didn't realize that moment was already shaping a new relationship with himself. For years, he had treated anxiety as something to fight. He tried to suppress it, distract from it, reason with it. When it didn't go away, he blamed himself. He wondered why others seemed to handle life so easily while he felt overwhelmed by things that shouldn't matter. The more he resisted the feeling, the stronger it became, tightening its grip whenever he demanded that it stop. What followed challenged everything he believed about control. Slowly, he began to notice patterns. Anxiety appeared most intensely when he tried to predict outcomes he couldn't control, when he demanded certainty from an uncertain future, when he told himself he had to feel calm. He started to see that anxiety wasn't proof that he was broken. It was his nervous system stuck in protection mode, responding as if danger were always just around the corner. This understanding didn't make the anxiety disappear. Some days it was just as intense as before, but something subtle changed. Instead of reacting immediately, he paused. He noticed his breath. He observed his thoughts without chasing them. When fear whispered that something terrible was about to happen, he didn't argue with it or obey it. He acknowledged it and stayed present. There were setbacks, many of them. Days when the old habits returned and anxiety felt overwhelming again. Days when he avoided situations, analyzed every sensation, and felt frustrated for not being better yet. But beneath the frustration, there was a growing sense of compassion. He began to understand that healing wasn't about eliminating anxiety. It was about learning how to live without letting it control every choice. He started asking himself questions he had avoided for years. What was he really afraid of? Why did uncertainty feel so threatening? What would happen if he stopped monitoring every thought and sensation? These questions didn't bring instant answers, but they changed the way he listened to himself. There was one realization he only understood later. Anxiety didn't need to disappear before life could move forward. Life could continue with anxiety present, and the less he treated it as an enemy, the less power it seemed to have over him. Gradually, moments of calm appeared. Not constant peace, but brief spaces of relief, a breath that felt deeper than usual. A night where sleep came without a fight. A situation he once avoided that he now faced, anxiety and all. These moments didn't mean he was cured. They meant he was learning trust in his ability to feel discomfort without falling apart. He wondered how many others were living this same untold story, smiling on the outside, exhausted on the inside. How many believed that peace would only come once anxiety was gone, and how many were fighting themselves every day without realizing they didn't have to. There is something he discovered that might help others too, something he only learned by staying with his fear instead of running from it. If this story feels familiar, if anxiety has been quietly shaping your days and nights, you can explore the psychological materials mentioned in the description and comments.